Peace, my brother. Peace, peace. Thank you for joining me. Uh, Peace, my brother. If y'all could take a few seconds before we get started to invite a friend, because today is our first official Max meeting, and I want to get right to the point, get straight up into this ism, if you don't mind. So share this with a friend. We're going to be talking about the Mac game and what it means. Doing good, my brother. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I'm just trying to get my notes together so we can get this party started. Now, while you invite your friends, let's just get started, man. Um, Many images of the modern Mac have been exaggerated. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about Macking, the idea that comes up in a lot of our heads is some clown in a crazy colored suit. Peace, Sir Breed. And that is not what Macking is all about. Macking has become a ridiculous spectacle instead of what it's designed to be. And what it's designed to be is a man that has accepted a high level of manhood and lives within this manhood at all times. Peace, my brother. You know what I'm saying? So when we're talking about macking, we're talking about the highest level of the game. The way I was taught is that there are three levels of the game. Or at the bottom level of the game, there are players, and those are the ones that just learn the game and they be bumping their head in the dark. Then you got the pimping, and the pimping is you finally figured out what the rules and regulations of this game is, and you're pretty successful doing what you're doing, but it's still on an illegal level. The macking is the highest level because you take everything that you learned on a street level and you've mastered it, and now you apply it in a game organized in legal fashion. And that's what macking is. It is not a ridiculous spectacle. So a lot of the spectacles that I see is a lot of clones and clowns. You know, they just repeating what they see and what they hear on Instagram. But that is not what the real game is. The real game is about being manhood. Is about manhood and being a man. And so this book that I always talk about, the Max Bible, you'll see it on the screen. This book was written to get scared males to leave their childish ways behind, and for them to become the best men that they're capable of becoming. You know, a lot of what we see right now in the game is really childish. You know what I'm saying? The lack of respect for themselves. The brothers don't really respect themselves, so they can't respect a woman, and this is tarnishing the game. And that's why, you know, some people may criticize me for teaching from the Max Bible. However, if you purchase a copy on slimsir.com, what you'll notice is the game has been codified. You see, when the game has been given a standard, and many of us don't know the standard. We don't know the rules and regulations because we're bumping our heads in the dark. Well, my mentor schooled me to the game. And he schooled me to the game by teaching me this book. He's the writer of this book. And he was in the game and been in the game for over 25 years and has the physical proof, you know, the evidence that, you know, he really has game. See, there's a difference between having real game, uh, and having the results of game, the fruits of game, the gifts and the glories of the game. And there are those who just talk game. You know what I'm saying? Talk game is different from real game. Anyway, we're gonna move on. But if anybody has any points that they'd like to bring up, this is a Max meeting. I am not the only one that should be talking. We should all be adding on to this. If you have any points that you'd like to bring up or comments or questions, please put it in the comment section and let's get at it, all of us together. The beauty of this Mack meeting is that all of us put our minds together. Now, a lot of people want to know what Macking is and how it started. Well, Macking, well, not how it started, but where Macking begins. Macking begins as an inward journey to clean up a lot of the mess that average males have about himself in his head, about himself and women, right? Now, the reason why this is so is because we live in a society, right? And we're being programmed. From the time that we're little boys, we're being programmed from television, from our families, from our mothers, our fathers, our friends, our neighbors, people that we go to school with, our teachers. They're programming us to think like a lame. And this lame mentality has become the prevalent and the dominant mindset that we live by. You see, when you don't define yourself, that means that someone else is defining you. And as a man, your main objective as a man, as you will find out later on in these classes, is that a man defines himself. A man determines what and who he wants to be, and he lives by those standards. You know what I'm saying? The average male spends a large part of their lives trying to figure out women. Now, this is one of the main reasons why, if you've watched the show, we've talked about the importance of having a mentor. I think the other day you'll see Caesar the Phenomenal in the room, and we talked about the importance of having a mentor. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to figure out things. You know what I'm saying? The importance of having a mentor is someone could school you and guide you every step of the way. You don't have to bump your head in the darkness. You don't have to grovel in darkness and make mistakes. You can have a mentor, someone who is willing to teach you and guide you down the path and in this game. So, in most games, they have coaches. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us get in this game, we call ourselves players, but we don't have a coach. You know what I'm saying? Peace to my man Couture Lifestyle. Now that's a Mac. You want to talk about a Mac? We got a few Macs in this room for real. Couture Lifestyle has his own clothing line, but not only his own clothing line, he has eyelashes and a whole bunch of stuff, man. Just click on his page and you can find out everything that he's about. He has taken his game and elevated his game from a street level to a man's level. And that's what we're talking about today. If any of you have any questions, I do offer text and video consultations, man. If you're looking for someone to, ask questions and bounce ideas around. Now, there's a big difference between being a boy and being a man. And I want to get your perspective on what a boy is and what a man is. If you got the time, man, leave a comment, man. Give me your perspective of what you think a boy is and the difference between a boy and a man. There is a big difference. And a lot of times, a lot of us don't know the difference between the boy and a man. So my mentor taught me that a male is simply a boy who has grown up physically, and he doesn't understand manhood or his role as a man. You see, in today's days and times, I see what they pushing this agenda called no gender or no role or gender neutrality. See, this disturbs the balance of nature. Nature made male and female and then gave them roles. So as a man, you have to know your role. If it's like, imagine yourself being an actor and you're in a movie and you're the star, but you don't know your role and you don't know the script. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna play that role successfully. So as a man, you have to know your role. And in the game, knowing your role is very important. Really, in the game, in this Mac game, let me tell you something, man. The word Mac is just a glorified term for manhood. That's all it is. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of times people have glorified the name without giving it real substance. You know what I'm saying? Um, a man is a male that has claimed his manhood. Now, see, I saw that and I wanted to know what the definition of claim is. Claim means a demand or a request for something considered one's due. Now, that means basically, in layman's terms, that when you claim your manhood, you're demanding, hey, look, that's mine. You know what I'm saying? That's my manhood. It belongs to me. And your manhood is a set of principles that you refuse to break. A real man and a Mac, he's responsible. He's confident. He's a leader. He's a problem solver. Now, if a Mac is responsible, confident, and a leader, and he's a problem solver, that means that the opposite of a Mac, which I call a whack, is irresponsible. He's not confident. He's not a leader. He's a follower. And he's not a problem solver. He's a problem maker. And that's what you see a lot in today's game. You see a lot of problem makers, but you don't see problem solvers. You understand? See, you know, when this corona thing started happening, I seen a lot of people get distressed and, you know, they were upset. A lot of so-called game Macs and pimps players were very scared about the corona. And my question to them was, well, how could you be a player or a Mac or a pimp and you're afraid of these days and times? See, because what these days and times represent is a problem. And a Mac is a problem solver. You should be excited. You should be excited when you see problems in the world, because that gives you the opportunity to be a man and step up and offer solutions for a fee. And that's the game. My man, Sir Breed, says, yeah, people are lost in the world. You damn right people are lost in the world. You know why? They lost in the world and they lost in this game. Number one, because they get their game from YouTube. They get their game from Instagram. They get their game from social media or from a music video or from some rap song. You know what I'm saying? They don't really get their game the way it is intended to be given. You know what I'm saying? What you really need is a man and a role model to teach you how to be a man. You need a Mac who is successful at Macking to teach you how to be a Mac. You know, a lot of these dudes get in the game overnight and they say, oh, you know, I'm the pimping now. I'm this, I'm that. No, man. You know what I'm saying? If you want to become a doctor, you have to go to school for that. There's a curriculum on that, right? There's a course of study that you have to follow and pass successfully so that you are qualified to become a doctor. Well, if you want to be some Mackin, there is a curriculum. It's called the Mack's Bible. A lot of people will probably talk crap that I teach it this way, but I ask you, where's the standard that they set? You understand what I'm saying? You gotta have, like my man said, they ran away from their elders. Yes, they ran away. We all, a lot of us ran away from our elders. You see, when you young, you feel like, well, nobody can't tell you nothing. I've been there. I know what it's like. I've experienced that. And I could have shaved off a lot of time, a lot of the learning curve if I just humbled myself and listened to an elder. I could be honest with you, man. About 20 years in the game, I think I wasted about 17 of them, man. Bumping my head. Yeah, I made money. Yeah, I had ladies in my life. Excuse me. And yes, I accomplished some things, excuse me, but nowhere near of what I'm accomplishing now by practicing and living this lifestyle as a Mac. My man, Sir Bree, said that they entered society with no guidance. Yes, you're right. Again, brother. And if anybody else has any questions or comments, please feel free. This is a meeting, man. It's the meeting of the minds where men come together and exchange ideas. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing, there's no wrong answers. There's no wrong comments. This is just a safe place for us to be able to exchange our ideas. Now, what is a Mac? A lot of people want to know, what is a Mac? This is a Mack meeting, and a lot of people don't have a clear idea and definition of what a Mac is. Well, a Mac is a man who rules every aspect of his life with strong standards, principles, integrity, and focus. Now, I want you to think about that. Peace to Intellectual Peanut for joining the conversation. Now, this conversation kind of seems foreign to a lot of dudes that are in the game. You know what I'm saying? They just think it's all about getting it from a female, you know what I'm saying, and giving her instructions, and they never understand the concept of them themselves setting standards and living by standards. What is a standard? A standard is like a rule. It's like a measure. You know what I'm saying? And a Mac has strong standards. You understand? Not weak standards. A Mac is the opposite of a lame. A Mac is the opposite of a square. A Mac is the opposite of a trick. So if a Mac has strong standards, a trick has weak standards. He does not measure up to the standard of being a man. And a Mac is a man, right? That means that a trick is a boy. That means that a square thinks on the level of a boy. A Mac is a man who rules every aspect of his life. Let's stop right there. See, if you say you some Mackin', you have to take control of your own life. You have to rule every aspect of your life before you can ever approach a female and ask her to manage her life and her affairs. You have to be a man. A Mac is a man who rules every aspect of his life with strong standards, not weak standards, man. Sometimes you're going to have standards that you set for yourself that are so strong that other people find it, oh my gosh, that's too strong for them. But as a man, and as a Mac specifically, that's what makes you a Mac, is your strong standards and your principles. Now, principles, your standard is the rule. Principle is how you carry out that rule. A standard is like, the way my teacher taught me, is like a judge. He makes a judgment. That's the standard, right? The appropriate response would be the principle. So you have a standard now of cleanliness. The principle is wash your hands. The principle is take a shower. The principle is look good, dress good, be clean, and be seen. You understand? A Mac has strong standards and integrity, right? Strong standards, principles, and integrity. What is integrity? Integrity means that your word is your bond. It means that when you give your word, you're going to keep your word. It doesn't matter. The Muslims have a book. It's called a Supreme Wisdom book. And there's a question in it. Have you not learned that your word shall be bond regardless of whom or what? And the answer is yes. My word is bond regardless of whom or what, and I will give my life before my word shall fail. Now that's the measure of a man. If you say something, you mean it. You say what you mean, and you mean what you say. And you would rather give your life than for your word to fail. Man, that's a hell of a man. How many of us could measure up to that standard? And another standard of a Mac, a real man, is focus. Focus, man. My teacher taught me practices, and you'll learn this when you buy the Mac's Bible and study it. And we're gonna study and talk about this every Sunday together, page by page, chapter by chapter. I'm gonna give you my notes on the screen. We're gonna talk about it, and you can add on to the conversation. But focus is so important, man. The difference between a Mac and a trick, the difference between a Mac and a square, let me be more specific, is that when a Mac, peace to King J the Great, thank you for joining. The difference between a Mac and a square is that the Mac has focus, man. He has a plan. He has a program. He knows exactly what he wants to do. A square now, if you study the square, right, it has 4 angles. Now this, if any of you studied math or you know what I'm saying is true. The square measures 360 degrees, but so does the circle. They both measure 360 degrees, but they're different. You see what I'm saying? So when the average person sees some macking, you understand what I'm saying? When they see some macking and they see a square, we may be men, but we are not the same. We don't look the same. We don't think the same. We don't talk the same. We definitely don't believe the same, right? And the science of a square is every time it hits an obstacle, it turns a corner. So it never really accomplishes anything. You see, the science of the Mack is that he's more like a circle and he keeps on rolling and he never stops moving. And that's the meaning of the word motivation. I wish I had that up on the screen. Motivation means to keep it moving. And that's one of the prime differences between some macking and a square. A Mack is focused and he keeps on moving, right? He becomes his own motivator. He's self-motivated. He don't need nobody else to encourage him. Peace, my brother, Mack Black Ice, man. Thank you for joining. You know what I'm saying? A real Mack keeps it moving. It's like a square, like a circle. Pardon me, that was a sin. He's like a circle. He moves, man, keeps on rolling. The square, you can't get nowhere with a square. You can't roll with a square. Now, I want you to think about those words. You can't roll with a square. So why are you rolling with these square-ass dudes? It's better to roll by yourself and stand on these principles of this macking than to roll with a square. Now, a Mack, he is forever the ultimate gentleman and a woman's best companion. I want us to break that down. You see, when you see a lot of these so-called players in this game today, they are very, very disrespectful. They are not gentlemen at all. How do you expect to attract women and prosperity and abundance if you're not a gentleman? Now, gentlemen don't mean that you a punk or a sissy. It just means that you are gentle. You know what I'm saying? When you're dealing with women and when you're dealing with other honorable men, you're dealing with them on a level of respect. You know what I'm saying? And a Mack is forever the ultimate gentleman and a woman's best companion. I bear witness to that because I'm going to be real with you. The women in my life, man, we're best friends. I'm their best friend. They love being around me. You know why? I would love being around me. Do you know why? Because I live by standards, strong standards and principles. Live by integrity. If you give a woman your word that you're going to do something, keep your word, man. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get far by lying. Let's move on, man. Now, if you like what you've heard today so far and you think it's good for you, man, please share this live, man, with other people because the game is so messed up. And that's the reason why I decided to do this, man, because you got a lot of people who are real confused about what they think this game is about. You got people real confused about what they think macking is about. They think that macking means that you disrespect a woman. No, brother, that is not macking. That is the opposite of macking. That is whacking. You know what I'm saying? If you turn that M upside down, you get whack. If you spell Mack and you turn that M upside down, you get whack. Well, the opposite of a Mack is a whack motherfucker. Excuse my language, man. And I got to keep bringing this up, you know what I'm saying? Because when we talk about the macking and we're talking about just being a man, we don't know the definition these days. We don't have a clear standard. You see, I always say this. When you go into the Jewish community, they have a clear standard that every little boy should live up to. And then when he lives up to that standard, he's considered a man and he has a ceremony. It's called bar mitzvah. In the Spanish community, they have similar ceremonies, Sweet 16, that you have to live up to certain standards and express certain principles, man, and show integrity for you to be considered a man, right? When you go to Africa, you may call them savage, you may call them what you want, but they have ceremonies and systems to make little boys to turn into men, right? But here in America, we don't have a set standard. And that's the reason why I teach and preach this book called the Mack's Bible. Because the Mack's Bible is a standard. You know, I'm going to blow it up right there. The Mack's Bible is a standard. You see, whenever you don't have a standard, right, that gives people a reason to do whatever the hell they want to do. You see, whenever you don't have a standard, you don't have a mold or a mode of accountability. And if you don't have any accountability, anybody can do anything and call it macking. And that's not what this is all about. Macking is about living by standards and principles, man. Anyway, I've been talking. What do y'all think, man? What do you think? There's people in this room. Don't be quiet. This is a Max meeting. You know what I'm saying? Speak up. If I said anything wrong, or if you'd like to elaborate on something that I'm talking on, you know, ask a question, make a comment, man. We're brothers, man. You know what I'm saying? I am not just the authority on this game, man. All of us, when we put our brains together, we could all figure things out, and we could have a more fruitful and beneficial conversation. Now, yeah. Anyway, since nobody is chiming in, I want you to please visit slimsir.com for your PDF copy of the Max Bible. And every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to be live on IGTV, and we're going to be talking about the principles of Macking, the principles of manhood. You know what I'm saying? Also, if you appreciate today's message, please donate if you have a Cash App to the Real Slim Sir, and join us next week, Sunday, 6 p.m., when we're going to be talking about the natural order of things. Next week's topic is the natural order of things. That is chapter number 1 in the Max Bible. Go to slimsir.com, purchase your copy, and I hope that next week that we'll do some more interaction. You know, I want to know what you think. I want to know your perspective. And you know why? Because even though I know what I know, when you hear somebody else's perspective, you see it from a different angle, right? And you learn different things. And that's why it's so important that all of us chime in. You know, it's not, you know, this is not church. You know what I'm saying? This is a meeting of men and their minds and ideas of manhood. You know, there's a lot of us, we talk about this game. You know what I'm saying? We talk about this game, but how many of us really know about this game? How many of us really practice and live this game? So, you know, please join me next week. Yes, sir. Brother Couture, man, I would really like for you to chime in. And Brother Sir Breed, if you're still in the room, chime in, man. Y'all some very well-educated brothers. Peace to my man Juju Mack coming in on the tail end. Next week, we're going to be talking about the natural order of things. But these meetings, what I want to get across to your mind is these meetings are a place. You know, back in the day where, you know what I'm saying, all the P's would just congregate and chop up game. Well, this is an online version of that. You know what I'm saying? And we're not going to be talking about anything illegal. We're going to be talking about a high level of manhood, a high level of accomplishment and advancement for yourself. That's what the Macking is about, man. The Macking is about going into your mind, man, and undoing a lot of the social programming that we've been taught, and really living this manhood, man. Really standing on your manhood. You know, a lot of us grew up without fathers. You know what I'm saying? And the way the manhood perspective of the game was always passed down was from father to son. But if many of us don't have fathers, then we wasn't going to get that game, right? And so we live our lives as grown boys, making boy moves and boy mistakes. You know what I'm saying? I think there was a Bible verse that says, when I was a boy, I thought as a boy and I spoke as a boy. But when I became a man, I put down childish things, or something like that. You know, I quote from the Max Bible, right? not from the big Bible. I should be better on that. Y'all forgive me. But if anybody has anything to add on, please feel free. I'm gonna give it a few minutes. If not, we're gonna wrap it up. And I want to thank each and every one of you for joining. Even though you were just listening, I hope that it added value to your life, because that's what the game is. That's what a real Mac does. You know, so in this game, it's always gimme, 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 gimme. That's all you've heard. You know what I'm saying? But that is the opposite of what real game is. Real game offers value. You know what I'm saying? Way before anybody ever gives you anything, real game offers value. Real Mackin is so valuable and giving so much value to everybody and everyone around him that people feel compelled to reciprocate. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what I'm trying to do, to add value to the game, man. You know, in these days and times, you know, the male perspective. Thank you. The perspective of manhood these days, especially when it comes to black men, It's very negative, man. We're looked upon as savages. What I'm saying? We even call ourselves savages. Down here in the South, we say, "What up, dog?" You know what I'm saying? A dog. You know what I'm saying? We refer to ourselves as dogs. We refer to ourselves as savages. We refer to ourselves as beasts. I want you to think about that. The opposite of a dog is a god. When you spell the word dog, D-O-G, the opposite of that is a god. You know what I'm saying? And that's what this Macking is really about. When you study the history of Macking, you will find out that back in the days, it was not called Macking at all. But this is the same system that the kings used, not only to rule their family, but to rule nations, man. This body of knowledge that we call Macking is not something that we should be taking lightly. You understand what I'm saying? It is a high level of manhood. And when you can become a man, you see, I'm going to end it like this. A lot of us don't understand what a man is. If you're spiritually inclined, you understand that a man was made in the image of God. So when a man is really being a man, he is really a God in person. I think your Bible says something like, ye are all gods, children of the Most High God. That's what a man is. That's what a Mack is. The term Mack is just a way that we as black people in America defined a high level of manhood. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, that's all I got to say. Nobody really chimed in. So I thank you for your time. And I want you to join us next week, Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. If you found any value in this, man, share the live. It's going to be up in a few minutes. I'm going to take a few clips and you can share those. And if you like what you've heard, feel free. I would really appreciate it. Because part of the game too is whenever you receive value or if you get something of value, you should reciprocate, because that's the way life works. You see, if you want a seed, if you want a tree or in a fruit, you got to put a seed in the ground. And if somebody's offered you value, I think it's only right to reciprocate, to give value back. And that's how, then that starts the cycle. It starts the cycle. It may not be with a donation. It may be with a share. Share this live as your form of donation, but get the word out that there is real Macking that really exists in the world, and we're going to teach you step by step. This is going to be a class, it's going to be a meeting, and there's the curriculum book right there at the bottom right of your screen, the Mack's Bible. You can get a copy of this at my website, slimsir.com. For your PDF copy, I think it's on sale now for like 15 or 20 bucks. I'm not sure, but if you Macking, invest in your mind. Turn that damn TV off and open up this book. And that's why we've been doing this show, to show you, to put good things in your mind. Don't you understand that what you put in your mind is what comes out your mind? And if you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. But if you put high value information in your mind, you're going to get high value results in your life. I want to thank you so much for joining me. And I'll see you next week at our Mack's Meeting. Peace.